Now, right before David died, as he was getting older, perhaps in his 80s even, they searched for him a young virgin to lay with him in his bosom, though he knew her not. Right? But again, it's in First Kings chapter 1. Now, King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes. But he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, Let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found Abishag, a Shunammite, and brought her to the king. And the damsel was very fair, and cherished the king, and ministered to him, but the king knew her not. Right? And, Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king and he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. Okay? Now, I'm 51, right? I know. Yet they're saying to me, I can't be with a 16-year-old, right? Why? I've never been with a virgin, per se, that I know of. And again, though, if I know you were a virgin, you can tell me. If I don't know you were a virgin, why were you with me and were a virgin and were a virgin? And if you were with me and were a virgin, did you lie about your age as not being 37, but instead 15, right? Well, still, I don't know you were a virgin or not. That's the point, too, right? And you knew if you did that, something would black me out, right? You can't do that either. But anyway, I forgive you and move on, right? Now, if I look bad for 51, okay, maybe. But if I look okay for 51, okay, maybe, right? And men older than me and younger than me have all tried to be with virgins, so don't get on my case. Just because the age of consent in Georgia is 16. Now, I do not seduce 16-year-olds to sleep with me one time. I'm trying to find a girlfriend. I'm just telling you the age of consent in Georgia is 16, which means legally, right? I can date a 16-year-old. Now, does that mean we have to have sex or not? That's up to the girl. I keep telling you that too. But I would advise her to at least wait till she's out of high school. I told you that before too, right? Now, But can you set me up with a girl who tells me she's 37 but really 15 who's lying out her butt? No. Because I might believe her she's really 37. That's the thing about my mental illness. I believe things other men don't understand, right? In the Bible. They don't see it the same way for some reason. I don't know why. I know you can't have both male and female chest unless you can metamorph, which means become more than one form. And if you can become both, and there's 3 forms involved with the transfiguration, then you can become 3 people, not 1. And if you can morph individually and look different to the 2 in the country, I know. They didn't recognize them or withhold him from recognizing and saw him in a different form until the end of the dinner with him. And then when they recognized him immediately, he vanished. That just reminds me a little bit of Beetlejuice, actually. They couldn't believe he was resurrected for some reason, right? And he had to introduce or reintroduce himself to them in another form from which they were withholding to see him. Yet, towards the end, they recognized him, but then when they saw him, he disappeared. Again, sounds like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. The living don't want to see the dead. I don't know. Men have problems registering a man can be resurrected. That's what that story would implicate, right? Anyway. They couldn't recognize him, according to Luke, and Mark even went as far as to say he was in another form until they could recognize him by the end of the dinner. Now, you got to take both into account, right? Because if both authors added to what they already thought happened, right? Because they say there's 2 endings for Mark. Well, if the author wrote further after he said what he said up to a certain point, he can do that, right? As long as he's still alive, right? And you can neither prove it's not Mark who added to his own story or not, right? Not 2,000 years later, anyway. But Jesus also did not come to condemn men, but to save the lost, right? So a lot of things we started doing over the years, like even sprinkling in the Baptist or Catholic Church, right? That's also in the Old Testament, where Hosea says, I will sprinkle you with water, clean water, to cleanse your heart, right? So whatever, right? Men, by their very nature, rebel from God anyway. But he's still trying to save you whether you're cold, lukewarm, or hot. Don't think, okay, that sometimes God's showing you how men see him, though they're following Satan instead. See, sometimes men judge each other as Satan judges us and don't forgive as Jesus taught them to forgive, as God forgives through Jesus, who on the cross said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do, right? Now, if he resurrected, that's for the 501 people who witnessed it and saw him after the death and are telling us the story now, right? From 2,000 years ago, by the way. Until Constantine came on the scene anyway. And sought to maybe make Christianity his own little religion, which he can't do. But though he did it, there was other Christians who believed a little bit different than the Orthodox. They're his problem. They talked of an androgynous Jesus, an androgynous Savior, which means he's both male and female, as Paul said, literally. And if John said he has Stethos, Mastois, and then the 7 angels with the 7 last plagues have Stethon, right? He's showing you something about the Greek and Hebrew translations of the Bible. Now, the Septuagint was written before the New Testament. So did they have the Old. Yet the New Testament and the Old differ in one passage alone. Isaiah 60:16. Where the Septuagint writers replace breast with riches. And the word used is either mastoi, as Luke used, or mastois, as John used, which is the feminine word for female breast, which is mastos in the Greek, right? Now, in the Hebrew, they even do a translation from shadim, which is the masculine form of female breast, right? It could also be shadoth, and it would apply equally. Unless Moses knows of kings with female breasts who can suckle their young, right? As did maybe Isaiah hear about it as well. Now, the prophets tell you also, God is not a man. Job goes as far as to say he is not a man as I am. What part of that don't you understand? And he talks of a daysman or a mediator between him and God, right? As well. But you also have to mediate where there's two or more. So you got to mediate between the Jew and the Gentile, the bond and the free, the male and the female, right? Do you understand? Right? There's two there, right? God has to mediate between, not one. Not the male only. Else, where did the female come from but the true image of God, which is neither male nor female, Jew nor Gentile, bond nor free? Now, no matter how many times we go over your mistakes, they're your mistakes from Constantine. You're siding with a tyrant, and act like him in your doings to other men. You also see anything androgynous as gay. It's not gay nor straight. It's not Jew nor Gentile, bond nor free. It's not even black nor white. For we are all one in Christ Jesus. Oh, no. Who truly is the three images of God. Whereas you cannot even morph and have to do surgery to transform yourself, which is where you get the word transgender from. Right. That is a human attempt to try to change your form because you think the wrong sperm got to the egg first and thought you were supposed to be born a girl rather than a boy, right? Right. I understand that too. I can't say you're right or wrong in that too, but you, by taking thought, cannot change your gender. You have to go under the knife, you understand? Right. That's it. And you also cannot become a full female either. You're still DNA-wise male. You just externally changed your form from male to female and look like a woman, as some women try to look like a man. To quote Alex Bornstein from Mad TV. You looking like a man or looking like a woman. Whichever. You want to look alike. Now, androgyny no more makes you gay or straight. Oh no. Either than you choose to be. Nor does it make you heterophobic nor homophobic. Oh no. Now, if Jesus married or was with 7 women, which represents the 7 golden candlesticks which he stand in the midst of, right, though he had female breasts, in verse 13, himself, if Isaiah says 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only thus be called by thy name to take away our reproach, this same word is used by Rachel when she could not have children with Jacob until a certain time, because maybe there was agreement between her and Jacob and her father, right? Which might have took 7 years for Rachel to even get pregnant. Though he was allowed to sleep with her, because he agreed to the covenant with her father, right? That he could not know her not until after 7 years, and have a child with her. Joseph is the firstborn of Rachel. But Rachel also gave him Bilhah and had Leah on their wedding night, which is supposed to be Rachel. Right. Now, do you know who you're supposed to marry? I don't either. I don't know either. Only I'm seeking a female bride, right? Right. Now, do I limit my scope when my state allows 16-year-olds to have sex with men? No, I don't have to. I don't have to. That's called the age of consent in Georgia. If a woman wants to sleep with me, whether you like it or not, whether you're an ex-wife or not, God promotes any government and any law of the government as long as it's their law. Read Peter again if you don't want to believe that, right? Now, they also do it because they think the Virgin Mary was between 14 to 16 herself when she conceived Christ. By the way. Now, I don't know how old Abishag was. I wonder where they get the word shag from, though. I don't know. Though he knew or not, right? She still would lay in his bosom, naked or not, until he died, right? And ministered to him. But Adonijah, whatever his name was, one of Eva's other sons, right? Also tried to marry her, by the way. And that's because David left the kingdom to Solomon, right? And Adonijah wanted it too. Because he was older than Solomon, right? Of one of the women who Absalom was related to. Though she also had Tamar. Well, Tamar was raped by Amnon, who thought he was in love with his half-sister. I don't know nothing about that. That's what the Bible talks about. I'm just talking about it, Renee and Shonda, as if these things could happen, but I do not know they really did. By the way, sisters. Right. But you would have to come on to me is what I mean, Renee, Shonda, right? Not that you did. Not that you did. Because I would not go after you as Amnon did tomorrow. Right. Because making up a story, Renee, when I'm telling you I'm making up a story, is making up a story. No matter how great the story is. And there's a reason for the story. When I tell you I'm making up a story, it's a possibility it could happen, but it more than likely did not, right? Because it's not supposed to happen. I don't even know it happened either. And that's part of the point too, right? Someone's accusing me of a crime I don't know I even committed or how I could commit it. When I was never alone with my stepdaughter, her mother was around me the whole time, and I just slept in the couch, right? And only if she tried to set me up could something happen. You understand? Right. To be with her daughter. And let her come in there wandering in the middle of the night without me seeing her in the bedroom or living room. I know. More appropriately, or escorting her daughter to the bathroom, right? It's the only way you can interact with the child if she's in there with you by herself. Right? And then as a step parent on the couch, there are legal things you can do to assist your stepdaughter, and then there's things you can't do, right? We all understand what I mean there, right? Now, all I admitted to is sarcastically, I don't know, I could have licked her one time, but didn't. That was on YouTube, right? And then I would ask them, so what, I licked her? And that's not a confession of anything. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm being sarcastic with you. Because I don't know that would even be an issue then or now. My ex-wife is right there, right? She never brought it up before the divorce. She never brought it up until I got on YouTube. I don't know. But that's the point. I failed 20 days later, I suppose, on base, right? The only way I can get off base is if I got permission without my ID. And the only one who could take me off of base is either my ex-wife or Pastor Thomas, right, at the time. And whoever I got off of base with I would have to have called from base if I got off the ledge, with the ledge. And again, either way, it would involve me talking to someone in the front about it first. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Right? You see where I'm at? That's where you wrote. I'm either having to make it up for someone that night, which is someone on base, Pastor Thomas, or I'm explaining something to Daphne about it. That's all I can tell you, right? But first I gotta find a way off base. Without my ID and that being in the room, right? And then I would have to check with the gate guards to see if I could get back on base, which would involve Pastor Thomas or